the Glass Reaver Longhouses is not a district you've probably spent much, if any, real time in, Mish.
Mm-hmm.
This is a district of scholars and scientists and the adventurous types who go out and procure the elements of their research.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that is the antithesis to Mish.
I think Misha was actually told to get out, because,
Did
But
Mitch do something bad?
No.
Mish is the DD to their Dexter.
What does this button do?
And then when it breaks, like, I didn't do it.
as she kind of leads you guys around, and it's pretty clear that she doesn't know exactly what she's looking for. You pass by the open entryways of some of these longhouses, and they're like one sort of great big corridor, almost a miniature of the district down at the base of the city. But the two sides of both of the two sides of all of these buildings are just flush with a long, unbroken line of what's the word? Like counter space, on which you see arranged, neatly folded in one of the houses, just nothing but neatly folded scrolls, with different like ribbons tied around them of myriad colors. You go through another one that's almost nothing but like hardbound books, and just as you pass by, you see these are almost like storage sheds with like a very tightly defined contents to them.
People here certainly know how to organize.
That's one word for it.
But even not knowing exactly where you're going, Mish, you recognize sort of the layout of districts around here. You recognize the Zlato Hall, standing sort of centrally of the district around which many of the longhouses are organized. And you would know this is where all of the guilds that call this district's business their concerns go to organize. It's where their orders are stored. It's where their the records are kept, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So this place that your friend recommended, do you know where it is? I feel like we've walked in circles a bit.
I know where it is. It's just I don't go there often, you know?
I don't know where it is.
What?
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 No, I know where it is. Don't worry.
Insight check.
So you guys follow Mish for another 10 minutes as she just kind of peters around the district and peers into some different longhouses and doesn't seem to find what she's looking for.
Should I ask someone?
No, no, no. I know where it is. Don't worry. It should be around here somewhere. Right?
Never ask for directions. Okay, make me an investigation check, Mish.
Why did it roll? God damn it.
Whoops.
Still, 21 is not bad. You feel the weight of your friend's glares at the back of your neck, and you're starting to get anxious to find wherever this place Gedris sent you to find. But eventually you pass by on the other end of the hall, the main Zlato hall. You find a longhouse that, peering inside, you can see bits of arranged broken metal and um, like little fragments of technology. But interspersed throughout, you see crystals. Most, again, of smaller size and deep blues or reds and greens, but you see a few that look kind of like what Vinali has, although they are generally attached to some of these metal contraptions.
I found it.
Didn't we walk by this place like 3 times?
No. No, he didn't.
I could swear.
Like, meanwhile, Mish is just like sweating bullets.
Well, the important thing is we're here.
Yep. So yeah, go do what you need to do, I guess.
Denali will wander in, just kind of poke his head inside, see if it looks like there's anybody that's not busy that he can approach.
Yeah, it from what you can see as you walk inside, apart from the well organized shelves, and you can see behind the counters that run the length of the longhouse, set into the walls on each side is like essentially a, you know, in my head I'm imagining like the book bag rack for kindergartners, like the cubby system, right?
Gotcha.
But just an entire wall of that with more of the same stuffed inside and arranged in pretty meticulous fashion. You do spy, or I was gonna say, there's really not that many people in here, but you do spy a few attendants that appear to be just robed, humanoid-looking um, simple folk, and one of them will, half-elven man, will see you approach and walk up and sort of extend a hand out in greeting to you and say, "What brings you by the longhouses today, my friend?"
Well, I was recommended to come here to speak about this, and I'll retrieve the crystal from my pack again.
"Oh, okay. Let's have a look here," and he'll extend his hands out to take it from you.
I'll hand it over.
Spends a few moments sort of turning it over and looking at it. He gets towards the base of this crystal, which is obviously torn. It's like there's breakage along the end where it was removed from whatever it used to be attached to. He'll kind of like tut his lips at that, but you see as he comes back and sort of starts rubbing his hands over the front of it, and then he'll make a few gestures which don't seem to mean a lot to you. But all of you are, so are all of you going in with him, or are you guys hanging outside?
No, Mish would go in with him.
I go in, I'm curious. Or Connery goes in, he's curious.
Yeah, better all go too.
Okay, so you all watch as this half-elven man kind of just makes a few arcane gestures and motions, and then you all watch as from deep within the cut, almost pinkish depths of this crystal, you see motes of light sort of flicker around inside, almost like an aquarium is contained within. And as he keeps repeating these gestures, they get brighter and more distinct, and you can see almost like the stereotypical like hacker man computer background with like the numbers flying up and down. It looks like that on the inside of the crystal, but with these glyphs made out of light that are sort of bubbling up from the interior of the crystal before sort of sinking back down into its depths. You don't know the meaning of them, Vinali, but you do recognize Tethian glyph work when you see it.
Incidentally, when he kind of clicked his tongue at the shearing of the crystal, Vinali would have like defensively raised his hands and said, "I just bought it. I didn't do that."
Yes, of course. Many artifacts are defaced these days by unscrupulous delvers. At length, he spends a few moments looking at the rune work, which seems to mean more to him than it does to you. And after a while of doing that, we'll place the crystal back into your hands, and as he does so, sort of ruffle down his robes and say, "Well, that does appear to be a genuine piece of Tethian crystal, damaged though it may be."
Good to know that I wasn't scammed at the very least. Obviously, I'm aware it's damaged. Do you think there's anything to be done with it? Any use to be made of it?
Even if we had the know-how to repair its original functions, I feel like its days of being Magitech are probably behind it. As for use, there is always an interest here amongst our scholars of getting more examples of Tethian arcanography and runic creations to see if we can learn more about what exactly this device and others like it were programmed to do to expand our. And to those of you that aren't Vinali, he waxes a bit lyrical for about 7 minutes.
I mean, like, to Mish, when she heard the words Magitech upgrades, her ears would have perked. And like, wait, that can be used for Magitech?
Oh, so you cut him off to ask that?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this guy would recognize her.
Mm, I'm rolling a d20. No, he doesn't.
Okay, good.
Well, perhaps not Magitech as you were thinking about it, young one. This crystal, and he's talking to you again, Vinali, was likely used as something of a far perimeter guard installation for one of the arcanums, or uh, perhaps it was a farming tool, for all I know, but it was certainly nothing of grave import. But we can learn exactly what it was if, and he goes back to waxing lyrical.
If Mish could fall asleep on her feet, she would.
Well, from what I've been told, it certainly sounds as though they're in limited supply up here, that most of the delvers coming through tend to sell them in the corridor.
You can see his rather for being a half elf, he still ages a little gracefully, more so than a human. And what had been a fairly delicate face does kind of scrunch up into some jowls that look more befitting his wizened age. And I'll say, yes, it is an unfortunate occurrence that the merchants from Twain are in quite a business for crystals these days, but not to plumb their depths for the knowledge of that, I assure you.
Well, if I am to part with it, I would rather it go to people who would have a better appreciation for unlocking its mysteries.
If it interests you to know, this is what we would classify here as Tethian Courts, and he'll raise a little gnarled finger and point at a certain one of the cubbies without looking at it. He just seems to know where it is. And you can see a number of crystals of the same sort of pinkish hue, many of which are quite large, but none of which are as large as the one you have provided him. These are generally relatively low tier arcanum constructions. Fairly simple enchantments usually contained within, but this is precisely the type of artifact that has become rather scarce recently, as they fetch easy prices down below.
And if I were to part with it here, would there be any remuneration?
I'll kind of steeple his fingers and consider that.
It need not be monetary.
Generally, the delvers that bring these in expect it to be monetary. What else might you be interested in?
Any variety of things, especially the kinds of things that you might collect here. I'm a delver myself, but I also consider myself a scholar in training.
Well, I would say in normal circumstances, a piece like this could easily be turned around into a profit of 200 gold pieces. If Delver had brought it to me as this. Given the current market and circumstances, perhaps 250 gold pieces I could provide if you were to leave this with me here today. And we could discuss anything further, but I would be welcome to accompanying you if you wanted to look around some of the other longhouses this afternoon.
That sounds fantastic.
Well, I must say I appreciate finding a member of your career path that values something more than gold.
I think the mysteries are what draw me to the work more than anything.
Well, you'll forgive my saying so. The profession, and those that practice it, kind of provide for what it is we do here, but generally delvers are profiteers. Well, let's just say their methods can be unfortunate.
Denali will kind of eyeballs the broken end of the crystal and kind of nod in agreement.
Well, so you sell your crystal for 250 gold, making a decent bit of profit turning that around.
And yet another campaign turns into trading.
There's like 12 more steps to this fetch quest. So, transaction completed. He has given you a bit of an invitation to look around, not necessarily to take, but if there was something you wish to explore, you could do so.
And probably just because everybody else was in there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to arrange a place to meet up, I can poke my head around a bit and catch up with you all later. I hate to drag you all around while I browse.
I'll come with you. Can't hurt to have
I'd
some
appreciate the
company,
company.
and yeah, might find something shiny to put in my pocket while we're out.
Just don't expect me to wrestle any angry shopkeepers to the ground.
No. Oh, that won't happen a second time.
So would you guys like to set up a place to meet then?
Yeah, if you want, we can meet up in front of the Temple of Agitas. I mean, literally, just ask anyone where it is. They'll tell you where it is.
Well, sounds like a plan.
Alright, so if the elf boys are staying to look at the library, what are the other three of you doing?
I want to say Mish will actually take them. Well, first I'll ask, so do you guys want to see anywhere else, or do you actually want to, get some fresh air? Because believe it or not, there is a place that has fresh air.
Please, God, bring me to fresh air.
Okay. And she will lead them to actual fresh air, which at this point is like the highest point of the city, I would guess.
The where the temple is?
Yeah.
Temple's not quite the highest. It's near there. I'd say it's like third from the top. The second from the top being sort of a viewing, gathering plaza for when speeches are done on the top platform, which is where the birdsong moot is.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like she'll just lead them to that point where, like, after sniffing the air herself, Mish will say, "Okay, you can take off whatever herbs or whatever you shoved up your nose. It's actually cleaner up here."
Maybe we'll look to Connery for confirmation.
Yeah, smells fine. And then he takes it off and it smells even worse than
At two brute.
Yeah, no place here, unfortunately, is like completely free of contamination. Nothing is going to smell as nice as the cradle did to you, Mitty. But you have risen above by far and away the worst of it, and to where Mish has led you now, you are quite far up Defiance. You can look out, and kind of as you've been navigating the city, you haven't always noticed it, but because of the layout of Defiance, at basically any point once you're in the city proper, you can just turn and look out over the wide expanse of the Drake Hunt, and the view here is pretty crazy. At basically all points are you open to the sky on every side except for below you and towards the mountain itself. You have free access to see all that nature has around here, but also it would probably be miserable if it rained.
Do rain lion dance.
Yeah, you said you took them to the Temple District?
Yeah. Yep, and these are my stomping grounds. Oh, you know what I mean. Well, by stomping grounds, I mean this is where I normally hung out.
You enter a district that is decidedly a step up on the rowdiness scale from the Glass Reavers. For being a temple district, there's a pretty steady flow of people here, many of whom seem very inebriated, um, walking around and sort of cheering and having fun in the streets.
You guys like to have a good time.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with them. Like, typically the drinking during the day is kind of frowned upon, so I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, so these were my old stomping grounds. What'd you think?
You will just look at the legions of inebriated priests, monks, whatever they are, and he'll say, I think things are making a little more sense now.
Okay, just to be fair, that's not normal.
Well, no, so I will say these aren't priests. Um, these appear to be civilians, and you recognize them by sight, Mish. Primarily dragon hunters,
Mm-hmm.
because I'll repeat for you, Mish knows, the Temple District is not just the Temple District.
It's also the bar district.
I don't know if you wrote it down, but the district with all the temples is called the Needfuls. It has all the things that a good hunter needs: the temples, the bars, and the brothels.
Ah, yes. The TBB.
Would Connery feel anything on seeing the dragon hunt?
No, they look like some really rough and tumble adventurers, but nothing strikes you as odd.
Okay.
And like, Smitty, for the most part, these guys are just, relaxing after a long day's hunt. Like, there's nothing that nefarious about it.
Yeah, didn't say anything that it was nefarious.
Hmm. But yeah, as soon as Vinali's like done with his bookworm thing, like I can actually show you the Temple of Agitas. You know, my place. Well, not my place, but where I was raised.
Yeah, as Mish sort of takes you forward, kind of meandering, looking looking past some of the drunks, and you can start to see the few uh, sort of places where they are sort of stemming out from these like taverns. You do see that there are a number of temples here, generally on the smaller scale, but they seem to be to a wide variety of deities. You see some uh, obviously dedicated towards Whispering Vlad. You see some of the combative elven deities and human deities from Old Tethys, many of which are presumed dead now. Uh, Mitty, you notice, small, tucked away behind one of the taverns, there was a little shrine to the three prescribed seasons of the groves.
seeing that, Biddy will is going to approach to get a better look.
Yeah, it looks like it's starts in a bit of green space. Looks like someone has just taken a stump, and sanded it smooth, and there is a sort of three-part poster board type thing made out of wood behind it, which has some symbology of spring, summer, and fall. And beneath those, sort of making up the shrine, there's a bit of botanical pieces like pine cones and dried branches, something that represents each of these seasons left before kind of the shrine of each of the seasons.
You said it was made out of wood?
Yeah, pretty much everything is natural.
Mitty is going to go acquire himself, hopefully, preferably pine, or something coniferous.
Okay. Take with Mish's help, you'll have to probably run down a flight or two and find something, but that's easy enough to acquire.
Right. Mitty will then attempt his hardest, his best, to carve out some sort of symbology for winter.
Make me a religion check. Let's see how well the barbarian does.
Not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Honestly, given the humble means of this shrine, and you gather that it's probably a testament to how inclusive this district is, that they even have shrines for the few half beasts and Zoan tribesmen that choose to live in defiance. So, given the humble means of the shrine, actually, your addition to it is just as good, if not maybe even a little better made than the ones that were already there.
Nice. I just need to think of an offering to leave behind. Can't do snow. That's too hard. Anybody got any ideas?
Snowflake?
That's a bit
It'll
hard.
melt.
Yeah.
It'll melt here.
You could carve
I mean,
one out
I'm
of
not
plants.
there, but anything that's natural and dead really kind of works for winter.
Yeah, true.
I
You could
mean,
get
part of me
glass
is thinking,
the shape of a snowflake.
but that's artificial.
Well, glass
It's made
isn't.
from sand, which is natural.
But isn't sand a summer thing?
Not
It is.
necessarily.
Sand doesn't go away after summer, so.
And then in that
Deserts
case,
do get very, very cold at night.
oh, I know. I got nothing.
Oh, Mitty, well, I try and think of something. Mitty's also going to take a look around at some of the shrines and see if he can also find one for Yomi.
Okay, make an investigation check for me.
Okay. Nope.
So while Mitty's thinking about this, you guys see him kind of peruse the different offerings around here, seemingly trying to look for something else. And after a while of looking, Mitty, you're not entirely sure exactly what you'd be looking for in the first place, but nothing stands out to you as feeling like it belongs to Mama.
He's going to kind of get a bit depressed at that. just because like even the seasons have some, even if it's small, have some sort of presence here. The fact that she doesn't is, or that he can't see one, is kind of disheartening.
Is there anybody you could ask who would know?
Is there like groundskeepers or something that would know what all gods are worshipped around here?
There isn't a curator of the entire space necessarily, but there's a chance that if you talked to like some of the keepers of the individual temples or something like that, they might know who their neighbors are, that kind of thing.
And it is a quest.
I mean, you could always attempt to commune with her.
Okay. But it would be easier if I had a shrine, wouldn't it?
True.
So as you go to start asking around about that, what were you hoping to explore while you were down there, Vanali?
Mostly just to see if there's any reasonably priced knickknacks that would catch his interest. Anything from Tethian ruins in particular. And actually, on that topic, also anything that might pertain to lore about the Dreaming Queen.
Alrighty. Make a perception check and then a history check at advantage.
Okay. Not a great start.
So with the rune scribe's assistance, you sort of go around, you tell him what you're interested in, and it takes you to a couple of different longhouses. You get to one of the ones that of several that contain seemingly nothing but scrolls, and he will point you towards a section of the cubbies behind the counter, which will say, within these are some of the histories of Tethys that we have compiled and collected off of materials brought to us. It's nothing extensive, I'm sure you can understand, but you are welcome to peruse.
I would love to.
Throughout, you will find a number of rather dry dissertations on Tethian farming techniques, on how they cultivated and tended to the land that these days are the plains of Haven, but back during the heyday of Tethys was their breadbasket. You see a number of discussions on sort of their defense systems and the perimeters of how they expanded their civilization. Some of that starts to get a little juicy in some of the border conflicts they had with the Cradle, even back during that olden days when the tribesmen were kind of the last barrier that stopped Tethys's climb northward. Interestingly enough, as you look through everything, and you find a few things discussing the final years of Tethys, but no specific mention by name of the Dreaming Queen anywhere.
Just out of curiosity, I know I already made my rolls and the perception was not very good, but any information about large gatherings near the time of the end? Like some sort of a political event or anything like that that would have gotten a lot of people together?
You will find tucked away into a really heavy rolled up scroll that is titled Collected Personal Letters and Collections from Before the Fall of Tethys. You'll find a couple, and this is literally just people's diary entries and things like that. The tiniest scraps of things that the Delvers have found and brought back, which have been compiled into this scroll. You find a couple of mentions sort of fitting what you're talking about looking for. It appears that somewhat recently, before the final days, a new member of the Tethian Triumvirate was promoted or sort of raised up into the position, and that's all the direct information you glean from it.
I'll kind of just copy down that section of it into my own notes.
So there did appear to be some sort of, some gathering, some hubbub. It's sort of, think of it like a public official being elected, if that makes sense.
Sort of a coronation light.
Right, yeah, that's a good way to say it. It was news enough that even some random people out in the boonies wrote about it in their journals.
Any interesting and affordable artifacts?
You would like this as well, Cal, assuming you've been kind of hanging around with Vinali.
Mm-hmm.
The two of you together will probably notice around at the same time in just one of the cubbies. There is a heavy-duty, like sort of bronzish metal key that is very simple at the top. It's just like two rectangular spokes. It would be like the most basic lock in the world it would fit into. But it is the very end, like the opposite side of the tines, is just decorated with the tiny little golden question mark.
This looks interesting. This has my curiosity. What words? This has piqued my curiosity.
Is our guide still with us?
Yeah, he's hanging back at a respectful enough distance, but he's keeping an eye on you guys.
Do you know what this is?
Oh, that object there. I believe that was a a key one of the delvers recovered in one of the local ruins.
Do you remember what ruins exactly?
It was one of the arcaneries, I believe. He'll walk over and sort of take out, within the cubby, there's a little index card equivalent that he'll kind of scan the front and back of. Yes, it looks like it was one of the southern arcaneries, near the Grey Feast station, Twain side. It says there was nothing that it appeared to go to, but he detected a faint magical essence from it, and it was one of our guilds bought it from him.
Well, it's certainly curious, and we are going to be out of character. Southern Arcaneries, would they be the southwest side or southeast side?
So, like south of Twain is essentially what he's saying.
Oh, okay. So not in the like around section of Old Tethys.
Right, like still in the Drake Hunt, like dead south of Twain is essentially not too deep into the Foglands.
Well, if we take the train, we're not going to be passing anywhere near there, but should we be traveling on foot, we might pass through.
Well, as it is for us, the object is merely a curiosity. If it would be of interest to you, I'm sure the guild will accept a donation in place of it.
What kind of donation are you thinking of?
Let's call it 100 gold, and we will consider the artifact to have served its educational purpose to the Longhouse.
We could split the cost. What do you think, Cal?
I think we could split it. I think that would be fine.
Alright, you guys hand over some gold, and one of you can mark down in your inventory that you have the mystery key.
I'll let Cal hang on to it.
Got it. You said that was 50 split?
Yeah, 50 each.
50 each. Okay, just making sure I did my math right.
Totally unintentionally, spending 50 gold brought me down to 666 gold.
Jesus Christ.
Creepy.
Excellent. You can't spend any more money.
Unless it's going to take you directly down to 420 gold.
What he needs to do is get enough money so he has 69.69.
It's a nice amount of money.
That's a very nice amount.
But that is what you primarily find from the hour or so a couple hours that he allows you to look around without, having to go through official channels.
Just mesmerized by this cat.
It is a very good cat.
Yeah, I guess we'll part ways, and Cal and I will head back to the temple, unless there was anything else, Cal, you could think of.
No, not that I can think of.
Alright, so elves go up You have to ask around a bit, but it's not too difficult to get some pointers to what you guys call the Temple District, and what you are laughed at a bit for asking for is, oh yeah, that's where you want to go, huh? You guys make your way up to the, as I described, just this nice, fairly open, almost like college campusy feeling green space, and with these nice marble benches and things like that, and a few genuinely pretty sacred places, interspersed with loud and noisy taverns that have drunks pouring out of them. You see temples to a number of different deities, some of the Lucendi ones that you recognize, Venali. Cal, you recognize a really gnarled and dirty, like it almost looks like it was dragged up out of the sea, uh, anchor symbol that you recognize as being belonging to the Seven Heads, the sort of weird dark deity that some of the Merc dwellers worship.
Okay.
I really want to imagine that Venali bumps into Mitty's handiwork, and then, like, when he meets up with Mitty, is like, "You'll never guess what I found."
Yeah, I mean, make both of you make a perception check.
Okay.
Excellent. Maybe not so excellent.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, neither of you noticed the little newly minted shrine. But you look around and you see a pretty good representation of the plethora of gods worshipped by the different peoples around this area. Maybe even a few you don't entirely recognize, or that you haven't had an incredibly large amount of contact with. But just because you specifically asked, and maybe it's on your mind, Finale, looking around, you don't see anything, shrine or even a sign of any kind of worship of the Dreaming Queen within this space.
Anything for Eleona?
You do not find a temple, but you do see within one of the green spaces there is a simple human woman who is seemingly sitting among a cluster of half-height bookshelves and baskets of almost looks like children's books and things like that. But you can see scrolled along sort of the front of the all the shelves of all the bookcases, the holy symbol of Eleona.
I'll make a mental note to maybe make my way back here once we've met up and find a place to lodge for the night.
Alrighty. So you said you were looking for to ask around about a shrine to Somi, Midi.
Yeah.
So why don't we make a group check for the three animal folk? How would you guys like to approach this? You just want to look around? You want to ask around? How do you want to do this?
Mitty will ask.
Connor doesn't know much, so he's probably just looking around at everything, trying to just take it all in.
Is that it? Is that it?
I mean, like, same with Mish for the most part. Although, like, she's more reluctant to ask because, winter's not necessarily worshipped around here.
It's not winter we're looking for. We
Okay.
already know where winter is.
Winter has been located.
So it sounds like you would like to do a persuasion check, Mitty.
Yes.
Let's see if you can ingratiate yourself to some of the locals, the big bear that you are.
All right, -1, -1. Oh, I rolled a 15.
Yeah, it's not too terrible. You ask around, Mitty, and although she's hanging back a little bit, letting you take point on this, Mish helps where she can, being that she does know some of the individuals around here. And it is, interestingly enough, although this will be just before Vinali and them see her, you talk to the woman at this sort of outdoor lending library, who she will introduce herself as Seeker Verity, and she will say, Somi, it's one of the old Tethian deities from the confinement, right?
Yeah. Ghost in the sky. Really kind.
Yeah, I do not believe that there is a designated worship area for her individuality, but I believe if you wish to make an offering, there is a joint shrine for some of the spirits that were lost to the Tethian confinement, and she'll give you a few directions of where you could find this sort of temple slash memorial to some of the different gods that Tethys imprisoned and even killed.
So, when she does get out, will she then get a spot, or how does this work?
Oh, well, I mean, it's mostly done by request, needs of the individuals here. They devout worshippers sort of make their own shrines here.
Interesting. But, actually, well, I guess the question is, on a different topic, do you get a lot of Zoans around here? Because I noticed a couple shrines to 3 of the season.
Not very many. No. There are a few individuals, loners or exiles, perhaps, but that shrine is primarily attended to by the few, and you'll see her kind of swallow a little bit thickly and kind of nod towards Connery and Mish.
Oh, that makes more sense.
What?
For some of those individuals, that worship is a way of helping them feel closer to home or parts of their family that they aren't in connection with anymore.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I was just surprised to see it in the hairless territory.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Hairless territory.
Yes, well, if it is offensive, I apologize, but make no mistake that the hunters do not defile it or spend any time concerning themselves with it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'll go check out that mass site. I appreciate the help.
Of course, Eliana is always smiling upon those who ask questions.
Minnie will kind of give like that, nod. Like, you're just like, you have no idea what they're saying, but you're just kind of agreeing so that it doesn't get awkward.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yes, these are words.
Yes, questions, yeah.
So as you turn to sort of make a polite exit, Verity will look over at you, Connery, and say, "Would you care for a book on loan? My library is open to any who wish to seek knowledge."
Connery will pause and look at her and then ask if she has any recommendation.
Yeah, she reaches down into one of the baskets beside her, even before you finish asking, and she pulls out a children's book.
Jesus Christ.
It is The Hungry Hungry
Wow.
Caterpillar.
I mean, for all we know, Connery doesn't know how to read, or remember how to read.
I'm pretty sure Connery's read something before now. Connery will just kind of give her a look. Not a very pleased look, and just like kind of just sort of yank it out of her hand and go, "Thank you." It's got cute illustrations though, so he's not too mad about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say she as you take it will say, "I believe you will find the illustrations are expertly done."
Oh my god.
Wow. Just gonna sit there and let her disrespect you like that.
Listen. I don't have anything to say. I just felt like something.
She just wanted to give a children's book to the really like confused and lost looking pupper boy.
I got the perfect gift. Hold on a sec. Gotta find it.
Is it a dragon-infused punch to the solar plexus?
She was only trying to help.
So, Vinali and Cal, actually, shortly after you make note of the Eliona shrine, you notice the rest of your party actually sort of starting to leave from there.
Okay.
Oh, well, fancy seeing you here.
Oh, you guys are back sooner than I expected.
Hello.
What business did you have with Eliana?
I was mainly looking for something.
Did you find the answers you seek?
Kinda. Oh, yes and no.
What
Mish
was
just
it you were looking
shrugs. She doesn't exactly know what Midi was looking for.
Well, I noticed there's a lot of shrines to different deities around here. And, well, I even noticed that some of the seasons were represented. And after adding winter to that list, I thought I'd go look for a shrine dedicated to Mom. But apparently they don't have one of those around here. Something about a mass shrine to those that were. What was the word she used?
The confined.
Yeah, mass shrine to the confined.
Your mother was one of the confined?
Yeah.
What?
It's a very peculiar thing to say so casually.
Well, not my biological mother, my adopted mother. I don't know my biological mom.
Even still.
Is that so weird?
Well, just that most of the confined haven't ever been heard from again, or if they have, then they're no longer confined.
Well, unfortunately, she is still quite confined. In fact, that's the reason I want to travel down past the crap, I forgot the name of that area.
The seas or the pirate place?
The seas.
The Amber Twins.
Past the Amber Twin. Well, anyways, I'm gonna go check out that shrine.
Alrighty.
Okay, so you go following the directions of the Seeker, and it doesn't take you too long to find. You'd kind of neglected to pay much attention to it before because you weren't sure what it was supposed to be memorializing. What you eventually find set on a marble plinth is a rather large, sort of vanity mirror size piece of obsidian that has been polished and smoothed over to mirror shine and reflection. And it is engraved within not so much names or recognizable glyphs, but more. It looks like Braille in a way, just sort of arranged all throughout, and you get the impression that this is like almost a war memorial. These are names of all of the collective individuals that are being represented here.
Do I find her name on it?
You can't read the script. You don't read Sancta, right?
No.
I think Conry does.
Yeah. Looking at it, you recognize this as Sancta script.
Maybe we'll kind of look over to Connery a bit puzzled and like, you could read that?
Yeah, I read it before.
Could you do me a favor then?
Sure.
Could you find a name on there? Somi.
What's the name?
Somi.
Zoe?
Somi.
Oh, okay. Can Conry find it?
Yeah, so you get up on there and you kind of have to like lean over the plinth, and Sancta is a language that is read by touch, so you have to kind of run your hands over the altar.
So he's kind of just trailing his fingers over the different script.
Mm-hmm. At length, you find sort of a third down the list. You find the line of that says Somi, embodiment of force and nature, god of storms and sea, and mother to us all.
Okay, and Conry will read that out loud as he trails his fingers over it.
Mitty will kind of he'll touch the name and he'll say, "Oh, at least they remember some part of you, Mom." But, hopefully it won't be too much longer and I can get you out.
It is a little humbling to you, Mitty, and probably Connery too, for having read it as you all sort of look at this memorial. How many names there are? A good dozen are memorialized here, and this is probably not even a complete list. It's not a facet that is often discussed in great detail in the histories of Tethys, but this is a physical representation of the fact that during its heyday, the greatest empire to ever grace this earth made a business out of locking up and killing gods. Each one of these names could have been a patron and source of, you know, great power and comfort to a number of individuals. Every single name on that list could be someone's mom.
That's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, given all the shopping and running around and exploring of the city you guys have done, it's getting rather late at this point. The sun is already setting, but you are fairly close by the temple, Mish. So you think you have a place to crash for the night, hopefully.
Yep. And so like she'll just like waltz in, or like she'll just like slowly open the door. But before she opens the door, she just turns to everyone. Okay, guys, I know this is rich coming from me, but best behavior here, people. Like nothing stupid. Don't. And she looks to Mitty. Don't pick a fight with any old guys, because they can and will kick your ass here.
Now you've just encouraged him.
Well, look, if the old man doesn't do it, every other person will. So, again, I know this is rich coming from me, but best behavior, please.
I mean, not too scared of a bunch of silver spoons, so.
Oh, if you think I'm a silver spoon. And Mish will just like push the door open.
Okay, you guys watch. For some of you, a little surprised. Some of you, like, I'm not surprised at all. Mish has led you towards, by far and away, the biggest temple in this entire district. You go to a multi-story edifice of dark stone that just has spires and it's cathedral-like, and just at the very top above the door, there is a mosaic of garnet and ruby and diamond and topaz that has formed a facsimile of a roaring fire.
I feel like we all have to stop Cal from trying to reach up.
When Mitty just puts his hand on Cal's head and pushes him down.
Why wouldn't you face something that important?
Not until we're leaving.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, welcome to the Temple of Agitas, the god of cleansing flame.
Yeah,
Th-
as Mish leads you. Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Mish leads you into a surprisingly dark, helped by the blackness of the stone material that the temple's made out of. Dark and muffled interior. It's echoey and empty and quiet. Um, there's like these large load-bearing pillars that run down both sides of the room. At the very end, down the way from where you can see, even as you enter, you can see up on a pedestal a brazier, probably enough to cook midi if he stood inside of it, is just a light with a blazing flame that is just going at full tilt. And the lighting effect that has with the dark stone makes you feel like you're in a fireplace, like you're like in the hearth or something. Above the flame, you can see a bust of marble that is painstakingly carved into the visage of what we call a unicorn, a horse with a mane that you're not sure if it's supposed to be fire or just his hair is that good, just tumbling down past his head, and just a long, spiraling, pointed horn that pierces his forehead.
It's quite the place you've got here.
Well, again, this isn't really my place. This is more like where I was raised and where I was taught everything I know.
Oh,
Hmm.
is that not your place?
Well, like I lived here, but this isn't necessarily my place. And she'll walk around like this kiln-like area and just hum like, normally like we have someone watching this. Where is everybody? Like
You look
she'll be looking around.
you look around, and I think Conry has the highest passive perception now.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so. You're the first one to notice this, Conry, as you guys thought you were alone in the room, but stepping out from one of the shadowy pillars, you see a humanoid male figure, uh, just probably under 6 feet, sort of step out from behind this hiding place, and he just says, out into the darkness, "Who told you you were welcome back here, half-breed?" And that's where we'll end tonight's session.